Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the LaunchPad Associate Workshop Series. I want to welcome Noah Montgomery to the webcast this afternoon. The LaunchPad Workshop Series is a weekly webinar that takes us through all 8 books of the level 1 of the PGM Golf Professional Training Module, particularly focusing on the work experience kits and the work experience activities that are required for each level. This week, today, we'll be going through player development. We have Noah Montgomery. Noah Montgomery is going to be taking us through the player development module. Noah is a golf professional from Sacramento. Little background on Noah. Noah is actually the coach and instructor for John Catlin, who won the Irish Open and has been as low as top 80 in the world. Noah instructs a great many other players as well. A little background on Noah. He was a narcotics officer for the Oakland Police Department in another life and retired. And interesting little piece of information about Noah. He's only been playing golf, I think, for less than 15 years, and got his PGA Class A membership, I believe, 2 years ago at the tail end of the 2.0 program. Of course, we all know now we're in the midst of the 3.0 program. Noah, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the webcast and talk about player development with us.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much. Proud to be here and happy to help. Let's get to the next one here. I think this, of course, my computer is going to lock up and I can't get.
If you hit, go ahead and hit your escape button, and it'll probably take you back to that.
No, it's not. It's doing what it did earlier.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I still. Yeah, I've been 13 years pretty much total, which is odd for a lot of people, but I jump right in. I actually worked street level narcotics, which is a little different and can be a little scarier. Did a lot of search warrants, things like that. And I think it's enabled me to see clearly, like with top level players or, very competitive juniors, what's really important, what's not important. And, a little different. Our opinions don't matter. The golf ball doesn't lie. And it's kind of the same with, I think, with the junior development. Understanding how to develop the program and start it, I think, is one of the biggest attributes we can have, and I really like how it's set up. I don't know about you guys. I like how they do the learning outcomes. And if you guys want me to read this stuff, I will. It's not really the way I would like to do it. I think those learning outcomes are put in there for a reason. And I please will take your feedback. I'd like to cover the learning outcomes, and then, I'd like to have discussions, or if you guys are okay with being interactive.
Definitely. That's the main reason why this is our 3rd installment of the LaunchPad. We started this, actually, I'm sorry, forgive me, Noah. This is our 5th installment of the LaunchPad, but this is the first time that we've been doing it where we incorporated the Northern California section, the Southwest section, and Nevada. Prior to that, it was just here in SoCal that we were doing it. But we made the decision to go to Zoom from GoToMeeting.com, which is where it started, specifically to get it to be more interactive, because the more people that are talking, the more learning that's taking place, the more networking that's taking place. The benefits of an interactive presentation are tenfold. So for everyone that's on this afternoon's webcast, feel free to come off a mute and interject, ask questions, share insight. There's no rules for this afternoon's presentation. Sorry, Noah.
Oh no, please. And with that being said, I'm sorry, the names are not popping up on my screen. I see one gentleman with the pink shirt. Interactive or just cover the actual learning domain?
Well, yeah, no, you wanna go ahead and go through your PowerPoint and
Yeah,
I'll monitor
that's
the questions and people can
yeah.
jump in whenever they want.
Okay. Understanding how player development program benefits PGA professionals, support the facility goals and objectives. I think one of the biggest things here is being in the program. I think some, not all, but I've seen it where they're fearful of making a mistake or asking a silly question. Please, please go up the chain of command. It's okay. You're not stepping on anybody's toes. What we're trying to really figure out is exactly what the facility goals are. And I think that GMs are huge at that. They have it, their pulse right on what they're looking for. And I think that people might be afraid to approach GMs. I think that's probably not a good idea. I think you should approach them. I think that's something that I highly recommend. If it's silly questions, they're going to let you know immediately it's a silly question. But most of the GMs I've met, they're very willing to help. They get it. For them, what you're trying to figure out is not a big deal, even though it is for, a young assistant. I really think that that's a wealth of knowledge. Head pros are managing shops, the range, outside staff, those kind of things. And although I think they're on top of it, I just think that the GM can help more just with direction, not how to do it, just direction of what they're actually looking for. I don't know if you guys agree with that or disagree. I see that's one thing that's kind of overlooked. If we're identifying the components and comprehensive player development program through the utilization of facility-wide resources, again, your outside guys are going to be really important to you because you're going to need to have things set up or have them stored prior to being set up. The one thing that I see missed a lot in this is nobody talks to the greenkeeper. And I've actually seen it multiple times. That might be the first thing I would do. I mean, what is it that you guys do? What do you do currently? Have we ran a player development or assisted in running a player development?
Well, I could speak to that, Noah, particularly at my facility, the last two facilities, the clubs I've been at, the player development program, the whole implementation of it is designed to integrate new members into the club culture so that they could meet people that have similar interests, play patterns, likes, dislikes as they do, and also to ultimately ensure or give us a better chance of retaining them as long-term members. A lot of times when people come in not off the street, but when people come in without a solid system or a program for them to get onboarded into the club culture, they don't stay very long. And so when you take an active role in their player development, particularly, when you talk about player development, it really spans so much wider. The scope of that is so much more than just getting people to play better golf. It's to develop them into enjoying the game. Now, playing better golf is an important piece of that, but as a lot of us have discovered in our travels, with all the people that we teach and we instruct, it's hard to get a lot of people to improve to the level that they expect. So it's about managing their expectations, but also getting them to enjoy the game. That doesn't necessarily mean get them to play better golf. It might mean to get them to putt better, get them to chip better, get them to get the ball in the air a little bit more often. But, also a big piece of that is getting them to enjoy themselves more. Does that mean?
Yeah, I agree. Fun. We're selling fun.
Cigars, wine, food, Thursday nights, Wednesday afternoons. There's so much more than just developing their game. It's developing their interest in golf, that, you know, which really goes far beyond ball striking and lowering their handicap.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I think that that is something, we're in the entertainment business at the end of the day. And it should be social, it should be interactive. And, you know, the part about diverse populations, yeah, please, from young kids to women to the 80-year-olds at the club. I think clinics can be set up and player development can be done on all of those. And I think that using your resources, if you will, um, if you have somebody that's really good with kids, I mean, why would they not be doing a junior clinic? It's not a punishment if they're good with kids and they enjoy it. You know, I mean, as old as I look, I'm probably for the older crowd. And it doesn't necessarily mean I can't do all of it. I have, but I think those things are important and fun. I, not, you know, starch shirts, even at the fanciest clubs. I see the most successful programs are where the kids are actually enjoying it and there's a big social part of it. We have one that's here. It's put on by Will Robbins, and he does exceptionally well with that. And those kids are having fun, even from high school to the youngest kids. And you know, I think that's something that's really important that we should be looking at as having fun. Marketing and promote the PGA member, instructional services and facilities through a variety of methods. I think right now we are in a hotbed for promotion. And with Facebook ads, Instagram, TikTok, I mean, you can put out a lot of things. You can even have paid ads that are not that expensive to get yourself out there and promote it and promote those clinics, promote your golf course. You can see it everywhere. And some people might think it's a daunting task. I personally don't think that. And I am not the sharpest computer person in the world. That's something that I think that we should explore more. You will see it. You can do a test ad. You can try it in a very small window and you will see I think the days of mass emailing from your list, it gets inundated. And I think some people just delete those, right? I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I've had a lot of success with that type of promotion. I.e. Facebook, Instagram, those kind of things. I've seen a lot of success. And I guess flyers would work, but you would have to be very targeted if you did something like that. What is player development in a nutshell? I think player development is retaining people long term. It's providing a service, and that's our goal at the end of the day. If we can get them to come back and play and enjoy the game, you might have lifelong learners there, and that's only going to ensure more golf for us in the future. And that's to attracting new players. Some things that we do is we try to run specials through our range and make sure that we extend our hours when our daylight changes like it recently has. And I think that really helps. We also run a lot of junior clinics in small sets so that the parents, as it starts to warm up, the parents aren't too busy or overwhelmed. That's what I prefer. Also, when we get specific and target the audience that we're looking for, I think we have a lot more success with that. You got anything to add to that, sir?
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm dying to know, how did you come about, did you find John through, your current club? And how did you meet him, and how do you drive, your teaching book, at your club?
Okay. How did I meet John? I first started at a private country club as a member. And I didn't have any intention of joining the PGA or teaching one lick of golf at all. I started playing. I was approached by a grandmother because I played a lot. I went all over trying to get lessons to learn how to become better at golf. It didn't seem to help. So did a lot of research, a lot of reading. I got very fortunate around a lot of good players, and my handicap pretty much plummeted. It was great. Start working with a girl, and she was my second student, and lo and behold, we're in the Women's US Open. Tied Michelle Wie for the most birdies on the first day. Shortly after 2 AMs in that Open, we played a friendly match with John, and of course, he liked what he saw. At the time, I played a lot. I don't play much anymore. I teach a lot and work on skills with students, but he came back. He was trying to go to the Canadian tour at the time, and he was really struggling. We made some significant changes. It's all documented in local newspapers, things like that. We made 7 significant changes, and he was diligent. That's how it started. I haven't let him down yet. He's won every single year we've been together. His work ethic is second to none. And I don't think that the golf swing, in my opinion, I'm not reinventing the wheel. There's nothing new. This has been around forever. It's understanding what works for each person.
Now Noah, I know you have a flight scope, but you don't really use it.
Oh, I have
Why?
flight scope. Well, I have flight scope. I have pressure mat. I have JC video dual camera setup. Because the golf ball doesn't have any friends. And if you have good golf balls, it's telling you where the miss is. But more importantly, I think if you're a teacher, you have to know the one thing that's stuck in my head is you have to be able to find the one thing that's going to fix 4. You know, and long before matching up was really cool, there's not one swing for everybody. I mean, there's just not. The flight scope is great, but man, if you don't have premium golf balls, what do? They have a range setting number, but I mean, I can just tell you my personal experience, and I own the latest flight scope. I mean, if you want to see it, I can hold it up in front of this screen. The issue I get is I have too many numbers that are just off enough. And when you get good players, they start to become critical if they've used those numbers at all. And you may not be able to produce that number in the real world with a range ball. And I go through probably in a 2-month period, 500 brand new balls. Because if there's something that's not right, we hit a brand new ball and we can actually see it. All right. I think I've been very successful. I have coached John this entire time with no numbers. No numbers. And
now, what do you do? What do you do when he asks?
When he asks for what?
Numbers.
Well, I put the machine up and I say, okay, so what do you think it is? And we'll look at the numbers. Here's what's really difficult. When you have a good player that has won multiple times on the European Tour, and he hits a ball that's a draw and the machine shows it straight, you might as well just put the machine away. Because at the end of the day, he has to trust himself. And those machines will spit out some not so kosher numbers. There's a video on it through through the flight scope owner himself that says that it's difficult to track range balls. And we're talking about like premium, good practice range ball, that number will be off. If that number is off, then I don't know what to tell you. But I also was very fortunate. And when I first started, I mean, I started in an indoor facility. That's what got me on with flight scope. I used to put the stickers on it, but prior to that, I was fitting people with face tape and a net. They weren't coming back because they weren't happy with the equipment. So although, is there things that make it better? Yes. Is it impossible to do it the other way? No, I think the proof is I have the equipment and I just don't use it. And when I say I don't use it, they get too caught up in numbers. I'm not saying it's not a good fitting piece of fitting equipment. I think it very much helps that. It gets you in a very close range. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but I think a lot of young player development, a lot of instructors think they have to have that. And I would say you don't. You can turn out a lot of good players. Something I like to tell people: a golf ball doesn't have any friends. It just tells you what the club face was doing. And if it's garbage ball, then you know it's a garbage ball and you're hitting marshmallows, right? And some people will say, well, but then you can't tell. No, the spin rate just goes up on them. The basic shapes are fine. The basic shape of the shot is fine. They might spin a little bit more, curve a little bit more than normal, but you will soon get past that if you do it enough. If you're teaching enough, you will get past that. I think all of that equipment has a place. I think it's valuable, but I think the day-to-day instructor, maybe not so much, if that answers your question.
It does. And in terms of the way that you structure your player development programs, do you have, is there a parallel between the structure that you had as a narcotics officer in your previous career, or is there a jocular looseness to it that is devoid of structure? Can you talk about the
I can tell you
similarities and the
I will tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. The first thing you learn when you start investigating things is don't have a predetermined thought, this is what I'm going to find. Even if somebody tells you all my golf balls go to the right, so a lot of instructors would just assume, right, that they're straight over the top and they're chopping down across it. Well, maybe the club face is just wide open. Everything else is great, and they don't know the difference between a push and a slice. I mean, that's just, but if you think that, then you'll find that. I think you have to go through train yourself, get the training where you're confident in what as simple as it is, the golf ball flight laws, okay? And then have an open mind. There is a ton of ways to play this game, a ton. I don't think that one way is better than the other. I don't. I do think if we stick with just a certain method, you could be in trouble and you could lose some students. And those students may be lost. But if you want to teach a method, that's your business. But if you pay attention and you're not looking for, oh, well, this is the same as the guy before or the gal before, or, little Tommy was doing this and I'm going to use this, it may not be the same. And I think that we have to exercise patience and not look other than what's in front of us. What works for this student may not work for the next. And I'm a firm believer in that.
In preserving your long-term sustainable business, how do you transition from a student that comes in, wants to get better, and you teach them for, let's say, 6 to 10 lessons, and you're at the point where they've seen everything that you got? How do you transition from a teacher into a long-term coach with that student?
Well, I'll push back a little bit. In 6 months, you probably still aren't going to see all that I've got, but the mentoring starts from day one. And this might be shocking. I will teach a 6-year-old the same thing that I would work with John on his short game. I think that if you're 7 years old, I think you can hit a flop shot, and I think you can hit a ball that skids. You just can, and they love it. Well, why not invest some time and try to do that and have fun with it? It's like learning a different language. I'm 51. I don't want to learn a different language. It would take me way too long. But at 7, I'll pick it up fast. Why not teach all of it? Why not go through it? Why not learn to spin it coming out of the sand, high, soft, right? Those things that's the fun part of the game. And the younger we're learning that, the more fun they have. And of course, every parent tells me, well, now all they'll do is hit a high soft shot or a high spinner. That's all they're trying. Well, yeah, that's okay. I don't think at any US kids tournament, they're handing out, full ride scholarships or something like that. The relevant part is that they enjoy the game, they're continuing to grow and learn, and they're having fun at it. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but I think a lot of kids like hitting cool shots, and I don't think there's anything wrong with hitting, a toe skidder across the green. So that's my take on it, and I just continue to teach, and I'm a lifelong learner. I'm learning every day, right? I'm learning right now. That's good stuff for me. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. I have Steve Monroe. Your hand was raised. You're unmuted now. Can you
Fantastic. Yeah.
go for it, Steve? Thanks for chiming in.
I love the background, Steve. I love the
Hey.
background. That's too cool, man. Seriously.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on. I'm pretty new in golf teaching, but my history comes from snowboard teaching and teaching other sports.
There we go.
And when it comes to the kids, I think working the junior program is amazing for a couple reasons. If you can show a kid how to hit a good golf ball, their parents are going to be worried that they're going to get surpassed. And a lot of times I've gotten some of my lessons from parents that come along and go, hey, I need you to teach me what you're teaching my son, because I don't want him to catch up to me too fast. But when you were talking about, the lifelong learning and stuff, we had some very, very simple, basic rules in snowboarding that I've kind of carried over. And the rule number 1 was keep them safe. Obviously, if anybody gets injured, they're not going to want to return. And, injuries in snowboarding are, different than golf, but I think we still, keep that frame of mind. And then the second thing was have fun, which kind of goes what you're talking about, Noah. And those two things combined together, if you could just take a kid, not have them get injured and let them have fun, then they want to return. But if either of those two things fail, there is no return. And it's just kind of like my foundation of carrying it over into snowboarding. Into golf.
Yeah, 100% agreed. No, we don't want anyone to get injured. You keep the heavy part on the ground. One of the things that I like to remind people of as well is always return the child to their parent better than you found them. One of the things that we forget as instructors is do no harm, right? We're not supposed to harm them. We're not supposed to tell them something that inherently we might know is wrong, right? You make them worse by trying to force them to do something, right? I'll give you an example with snowboarding, cross-reference to water skiing and skateboarding. I'm a goofy foot. And I can't do it any other way. There's no way. And so you guys know everybody rides a snowboard a certain way. I'm the exact opposite. And for the love of me, I couldn't do it any different. Can you imagine putting me on one of those and telling me that I have to turn my feet the other way? I would just spend all day falling down. So yeah, no. And I think that's a great point. We don't want anybody injured. 100%. 100%. I think that was great. So moving on.
Any other hands up? Thank you very much, Stephen, for jumping in there. All right, go for it, Noah.
There we go. see where I kind of got lost here. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Develop, blah, blah, blah. Junior golf instruction, adult. I've got the screen still up, so I can't see what my thing says. The junior golf instruction to me is let's keep it one. We have to have realistic expectations, and I mean, if anybody wants to chime in on this, I see unrealistic expectations set by the students. I see them set by the parents. I would really encourage you guys, please make sure you have these conversations. That doesn't mean you have to torch someone's dreams, but we have to be realistic about where we're going. How much time are they going to invest? Right? I mean, I have students that spend over 25 hours a week. And that's either supervised practice, one-on-one lessons, or playing lessons. 25 hours a week. And then, you have somebody that's putting in 3 hours a week. We can't have the same expectations. And I think we have to really stay on top of that, if you will, because I think that can get blown out of proportion relatively quickly. We all have high hopes, but we do have to be realistic. We really do. Golfer league, social golf, yes, 100%. And I think there should be no limit to golfer leagues. And when I say that, push them. The more they're playing, the more they're going to be happy, the more that they're going to continue on. Something also, and I want to make sure that I cover this. When you guys are doing your clinics, when you have your direct hands on it, please, I'm assuming that most of you guys have a POS system. There needs to be a key. We have to track it. We have to be able to tie that player to you. That is going to be your biggest advertisement to the higher ups. And I know that it can be done. And the reason I say that is that's the quickest way for you guys to direct attention right to that. Now, I know that's a little off topic and it's at the wrong segment, but I do not want to forget that. Getting golfers to enjoy and stay with the game, 100%. How do we do it? Make it easier. Go play with somebody and encourage them to move to the white tees. They cannot play the championship tees. I mean, it's just not, it's not the same. Currently at the golf course I'm at, it's a really good track. It's a very well manicured. John Cat will tee it up from the tips and in 9 holes, anywhere from 4 to 7 under par. Having fun, doing instruction. Okay. Well, that's John, and I see a lot of frustration come from the golf. We have a bad rap that our golf course is too difficult. No, we got guys hitting at 230 that are trying to play from the tips. There's a couple of forced carries. They're not going to make it. They're not going to make it from the tips. And I think that kind of encouragement, talking to them, and whatever that takes, changing the colors of the tee markers or whatever, maybe have a shortened, league where you play closer up. They'll enjoy it more. It's not about how far you hit it. It's about how many strokes it takes, in my opinion. Cultivating juniors. Yeah. The most success I've had is having some successful juniors. And that really brings in more. The better they play, the more they come. And I don't, there's not really a lot to do with that because it's more about the parents that are bringing them. And if you can really communicate with the parents and relate, I think that your junior golfers will grow in the amount. And some of this, you may not want to be a full-time instructor, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But junior clinics, if you have successful juniors, your clinics will start to grow. There's no in between on that at all. Okay, the casual, infrequent golfer. I would say this: you gotta spit numbers at them, because in today's day and age, they really understand numbers. You know, everybody can give us how many 5-footers on average are made on the PGA Tour from 8 feet. I think people lose sight of that, and that's for a PGA Tour player. You know, top 125 in the world or better, and those numbers don't equate to the 25 handicapper or the 13. Maybe they're a good 13. Their putting, their numbers are going to be different, and they may putt really well, so their driving accuracy or greens in regulation is going to be different. And I think that with older players, more mature players, you have to speak the numbers. I think kids, if they're infrequent, you just have to keep encouraging them to come back out, because the more they do it, it's a perishable skill. So just because you're good, if you don't practice it, you'll lose the skill. It'll start to perish. You may still have a large part of it, but it won't be as sharp as it was. Keeping core golfers. I think we might tend to forget that our men's club or your ladies club or your locals, I think they can be overlooked. And I think that's more of a relationship. When you build a relationship, to keep that relationship going, acknowledge them by name. I think that's important. They really like that. You know, I mean, it's maybe not on big on the radar, but I think that one should be, because they'll be there even if it's bad weather or great weather. Just more than improving their swings. Yeah, 100%. I think you got to help them think their way through this very overlooked part in golf. If you're not happy, if you're struggling, you're going to struggle a lot on the golf course. It is a direct parity, and it will happen. So I think you got to make sure they know, right? They got to stay with this and stay cool. Stay off the panic button. The game is growing and programs are becoming more diverse thanks to the investment of time, money, resources of the PGA of America, other national organizations, and some leading equipment manufacturers. I don't disagree with that. I think diversity in the game is because of young folks getting in the game. And when I say that, and they're getting in the PGA, and I think it's a beautiful breath of fresh air. The one thing that attracts me to golf is you pay your fee and you tee it up in a tournament and you win it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter. You're the winner. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. There's not, I guess there's technically tryouts, but if you pay the fee and you win, there's no lockout. And I think that we all do pretty good. I think we can do a lot better. And I think I really like to see that continue to grow. I've sponsored kids that have went to US Kids down in back east. I've sponsored kids, at Pinehurst. I've paid for hotels. I've paid for golf clubs, and they wouldn't have been able to go without it, but they earned their way there. So we made it happen. And I think that's a beautiful part of PGA of America, and, making these contacts and knowing people, and don't overlook that part, please. You got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do. And not to change directions here, but Noah, you've got a wealth of teaching experience. You've been a teacher your whole life, really. And in terms of the player development module for the PGM program, even the 2.0, what are some key elements for the guys that are on webcast this afternoon, in terms of being able to put that work experience kit together the right way. And then also, if you could talk about the testing for player development once you got to that point.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is going to sound cliche. You really, really study your learning outcomes. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no magic to this. Okay, guys, look, none. I will go out on a limb here and I will share with you guys. I am a severe dyslexic. So if I can get through this, I know I went through 2.0, so it's different than 3.0. But these learning outcomes, you've got to read through them. And I'm sure that the people on this, just by showing the interest to be here, I know you're passing these with flying colors. There's no shortcut. If you go right down the learning outcomes, if you research each bullet point, because I got a printout of what you guys actually do, then that's it. The other thing, when you fill it out, so what if you make a mistake? It's not the end of the world. Don't, and pardon my French, don't half-ass it, please. You put your time in, fill it out, go through each section, do the best you can. That's why it's that. And if they send it back and you have to make corrections, you're learning. I mean, that's the way I see it. And now somebody else may see it differently, but that is definitely how I see it. I think Steve Monroe has a question, sir.
Not even so much a question.
Oh, sorry.
As much as no, I love this part of the whole program, player development. It kind of fits a lot of what I've done in my past. And when you talked about calling members by name, or just not even members for those of us who have worked at public courses. I'm a communications major, and in so many of my classes, we repeat this philosophy that everyone's favorite word in their particular language is their name. It's just a and I grew up calling, like when you go to a restaurant or anywhere, it's like I always look at the name tag. I'm a name tag person. I'll take that quick glance, and I always try, whoever's serving me, if I can find out their name, I'm always using their name. And you can really feel this subconscious connection when people just really appreciate that tiny little gesture. And then on the others, this screen is back up when it says it's more than just showing golfers how to improve their swing. I remember going through karate classes and my father going through karate classes, and there was so much more in karate than learning how to defend yourself. There's patience, there's mindset, there's breathing, there's all of these things that then when you achieve a move, just like in golf, and you can see your students' eyes light up, and they immediately feel that confidence. And I feel like that confidence in golf carries over to other aspects of life. If there's ever challenges, they can realize, if I just work at something and maybe even get some coaching with something, any other aspect of life. And I think maybe this rings to all of us, and maybe some of you heard this before, or it's your first time, but I just fell in love with this philosophy of finding ways to add value to people's lives. And when we are in a position we are in to be able to work in such a great game, I mean, obviously we call it the greatest game ever made, but to be able to take this game and turn it into philosophies of performance and confidence that can carry over into other aspects of life, I think that's just an imaginable, like, you can't put a value on the type of value that is, the way it can go over and exponentially affect somebody's life.
Don't disagree. I think that's very well stated. Very well stated.
Here, Stephen. That was, wonderful share. Wonderful share.
Thank you.
Noah, that's your last slide?
Yeah, well, I have one last slide, and it just has my name and my contact information on it. Like I said, I really think that by going over the learning outcomes, you guys are a shoo-in. The issue, and I commend you, is You're working 30 hours a week and you got to go through all of this and you got to do it on your time. And it's not easy. And people that have not gone through this program, I was the last class of 2.0 and I drugged my feet so long that I was the exact last class because I just didn't want to knuckle down. I'm just working too much. So I finally did it and I got through it. Look, it is a lot of work, and I truly do feel that it's okay to make mistakes. So please don't not make the mistake. You'll benefit from it down the road. I can tell you, our sitting GM here has made plenty, and that's why he's the GM. Because without them, you're not going to be the GM. I know I have. I've made plenty. So if you guys have questions, please pipe in. I know you've been patient with me, all of that. I don't have a lot more to cover on that. I mean, and I am open for questions. Anything you want to know about coaching, tough coaching things, whatever I can help you with, I will. I'll try to figure out, this will tell you about him. I'll try to figure out how to put my last slide up here, but I'm not sure. So let me see here.
Well, if it's got your contact information, I'll, as I've been doing the last several weeks, I will send out tomorrow sometime. I will send out the YouTube recording of this afternoon's LaunchPad along with an acknowledgement of Noah's presentation today and his contact information on there. Feel free to reach out to him and keep in touch, guys. You know, it's a lot easier to get through self-study curriculums like this when you've got a network, when you've got resources that you could reach out to. You're not all alone in this thing. You know, it's how we help keep ourselves accountable when it's more than just us going through it. It's like, you know, you got a gym membership, you sign up for a gym membership on the first of the year, but you signed up by yourself and you go once or twice in the month of January and you don't go for the rest of the year. But if you sign up with a group, you guys hold each other accountable and you're more apt to get through it and to get more out of it at the same time.
100%, boss. 100% agree with that.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on the LaunchPad, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much, Noah. On behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA, thanks for taking the time to come on the webcast today and share your expertise and your experiences. We'll talk to you soon, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Noah.